What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Regular Guy Garage. While I am waiting to decide what I'm going to do with this transmission, I'm going to go ahead and tackle some other smaller issues with the car that I just kind of never really thought of a need to get around to until, I got some free time, which is right now. Essentially what I'm doing now, this right front brake caliper was sticking pretty bad. I couldn't even really spin the wheel one full spin. It would just lock, it wasn't locked up, but it was just dragging really bad. What pretty much ended up, these are, not in the best shape. I'm eventually going to go with a wheelwood brake setup, but for now, I'm just going to keep, the brakes are relatively new, and these are SN95 brakes as well. So, it's at least one step up from, the stock brakes that come in these cars. So just pretty much, took the pins out, greased them up really well. Going to throw this back on, and then we'll see if that clears up our issue. All right, I should have taken a video of it before, but basically when I would spin this wheel before, I would spin it and it would stop right about there. And now that I greased those pins, we're good to go. All right, what I'm gonna do really quick is get the alternator bracket and assembly back on, get the radiator back in, get the engine refilled with coolant. For some reason, this thing is a royal pain to get the air bubbles out of for the coolant system. So I'm going to mess around with that for a little bit. Waiting on a bracket to move the power steering pump. That's going to be here within the next few days. I still need to make some sort of intake tube right here. Really all I want to do is just have it extended down a little bit further, and then I can put the air filter on. But we just haven't gotten around to it yet. Just been running it without an air filter, no big deal. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and drop all of this stuff in really quick. All right, and as you can see, the entire front half of the engine is back together with the exception of that power steering pump bracket, or the AC delete bracket that I will end up needing. And then also I need to get a belt along with it, but got the engine filled up with coolant. Basically ready to go. That bracket will probably take me a half hour to put on once it comes in. Battery tray for now is going to go back here. Eventually I'm going to have it put in the back, but for now I'll just put it back here until I get around to it. You still need to finish up looming these wires and stuff. I haven't touched them yet. This is a very quick and easy thing. And then obviously once I get everything else hooked up, all this stuff will be kind of tightened up as well, and it won't really look like a rat's nest there. Plans for the car, lots of stuff will be different. Obviously, I'm still running this clutch fan that comes with it. It's just one of those things where, yeah, I know I'm losing some horsepower there, but, for now, whatever. As I get the car going, testing it, get it out there on the drag strip, I can dive into these things. I don't need an electric fan right now. I don't need, some of these other things right now. But as I go and continue to build the car, we eventually will have them. Main thing hurting us right now is this transmission. With the addition of the transmission, the only other thing I need before getting it on the racetrack is subframe connectors. So if you don't know, these cars are, they're not a full frame car. Basically what people do is they will have subframe connectors to tie the front and rear suspension together so the car doesn't basically twist in half. I was lucky this car, the frame is nice and straight. The torque boxes are nice and straight. With the exception of a few spots where it looked like somebody put a jack where they weren't supposed to have it. The car itself, frame-wise, structurally, is nice and straight. So, I almost trip over my trans jack here. All right, guys, so it's been a few days. I had work and stuff going on, plus I didn't really have anything to do to the car after I got all that stuff put together. But I did get some of the shipments in that I was waiting for. So I know you guys are waiting to see what I'm gonna do with this transmission, and I finally made my decision. So here we have a brand new JW Performance C4 transmission. I wanted to keep the car stick, but at the same time, I was really looking at what it was gonna cost me to get a really solid stick shift transmission or manual transmission, as opposed to what gains I was gonna get from it, which is, that's all dependent on me, the driver, and then what it would, how long it would last, basically what I would need to build, and invest into either my T5 over there versus getting a new transmission. And anyway, I went with the C4. And the reason I went with the C4 is, one, it's going to be faster than, it's going to be faster with me driving the car with a C4 than it will be with a stick. Additionally, it's got a reverse manual valve body, so I will still be shifting, you know, the shifter. Granted, there's no clutch, but at the same token, I am gonna actually rebuild this T5 and just keep it as a spare. The pedal assembly, I'm just gonna take the clutch pedal off and leave the same thing there. So if I ever wanted to convert the car back to stick in the future, I'm still gonna have that option. Everything else, as far as what I read from the C4 and T5, I'll be able to just throw this C4 in and use everything else the same with very minor modifications. But anyway, I'm actually really excited to put this thing in. I'm still missing a couple things. I need some cooler lines and some other, you know, miscellaneous bolts and stuff. Plus I'm waiting for like a shifter. Yeah. Anyway, got the transmission here. Additionally, have a bell housing. This is a torque converter for it. This is rated for like 850 horsepower. I believe it's a 3500 stall. I have to look at the paper. It might be 3300. I think roughly 3500 stall. In there, just like a trans cooler and a dipstick. And then additionally, I have one more part that came, well, two more parts that came in. All right, so this is a set of Viking Performance. Oh, the other one's open. Let me open the other one. Viking Performance double adjustable drag shocks. I don't know if you guys remember, but this car had a set of rear coilovers on it. However, they were some very just cheap, low budget coilovers. I still have the ones on the front, but for the rear, they just made the car ride horrible. Super stiff chassis. It was a super stiff ride, like not enjoyable at all. And definitely as far as drag racing application, not practical. So I was looking into a set of actual like rear coilovers, but instead, what I want to do is keep the stock suspension set up. So if you haven't seen, I have the Team Z drag springs. Right now they're just stock shocks in it, but to couple along with it in the rear is these double adjustable Viking Performance drag shocks. They should help the car hook up really, really well. And really just excited as a whole. I want to get this transmission in the car as fast as I possibly can, get the whole thing done and get it back out there and start testing this car, start messing with the tune. So where I'm starting down here, I got to take all this stuff off. So I'm going to remove the bell housing. And then once I get that off, I'll go ahead and remove the clutch, remove the flywheel. I got to yank the pilot bearing out. Well, that's just I'm going to have to undo the headers, take my wideband and then my just O2 plug out. Housing's off, wasn't too bad. I had to undo the long tube headers, so I got a feeling I'm gonna have to undo the other one too. I just undid this passenger side and was able to sneak it out, but I had to pull it out kind of sideways, so I can foresee me having to potentially unbolt both of these and let the headers hang down at least. So now going to unbolt the clutch, take that off in the flywheel, and then I'll go ahead and yank the pilot bearing out. All right, so we got everything out. I got the block plate out. I have to make a modification to the block plate. Right here, I'm just test fitting the new flex plate that's going on. That's why it's on without the block plate. Just wanted to make sure it lines up. All the new bolts start to go in, so we are good there. This is just a JEGS SFI 28 ounce, 157 tooth flywheel. This is for the smaller C4 bell housing. So this is gonna fit perfectly with our setup. For now, let me crawl out from under here and show you the modification that needs to be done to the block plate to fit the bell housing. All right, here's the two different bell housings. This is the manual one. I just threw the clutch back inside of it. And then this is the one for the C4. And actually, before I do anything, let me make sure this is gonna bolt up. All right, so it does line up, we're good to go. Basically, from what I've been seeing, they have a block plate that you can buy, which is a T5 or C4 adaptable plate. And so essentially what it is, so with the T5, you know, this just goes over here, everything bolts up and everything's closed up. Whereas for the C4, you need to have room, you need to have an access to tighten up the torque converter. And really all that they do is they just cut pretty much this portion off right here. So I'm gonna go back online, and it might even be from a lower spot. It might be like right here. But basically all I'm gonna have to do is, just trim off this section right here and we will be good to go. Now I can get the block plate back in the car and get the flex plate on, and that's where I'm gonna stop here for today. All right, just a quick update. We got the transmission up under the car. You can hear me breathing heavy, and I really should have videoed that because that was an emotional event. But I just gotta get some transfer, get the torque converter put on. Already got the flex plate and the block plate up. I'm gonna get this torque converter on and we'll keep moving on. All right, so I had the transmission all mocked up, and of course nothing goes easy. I had to pull the whole thing back out. The reason why was because I couldn't get the torque converter to go on. It would snap onto the first stage, but it wouldn't go, that center shaft wouldn't go all the way in. I had no clue why, but anyway, I was able to get it done. The center shaft for some reason needed the teeth filed down, so I had to clean up the teeth a little bit, and then we got it to go on. So now it's time to get it back under the car, try and get it up in. Alrighty fellas, so it is official. We have the C4 transmission inside the car. I still have to get some cooler lines. I gotta fabricate a cooling line, but everything else is all done. Got the flex plate, torque converter, bell housing starter. This header is already tight. I gotta put this one back up. And then outside of that, things, so the cross member, I don't know if you can see, but we're pretty much lined up. I will have to grind off. There's some welds on the cross member itself. I'll have to grind them off so I can kind of slide it up this way. But we got the same mount as the T5. It's gonna bolt right up. We should be able to use the same exact drive shaft too. Up top, we got the transmission dipstick. I have to tighten just this clamp to tighten it down to the head. But we're looking good there. We're looking good there. Got the header bolts. They're all in. I just need to tighten them all up. Get the other side going. And then we're pretty much well on our way, guys. Not gonna lie, I mean, it's not going that hard considering I'm putting a transmission that, you know, it's been put in a Foxbody a billion times, I'm sure. But I've never done it, and of course the C4 never came in the Foxbody. So fighting through a little bit of, you know, learning pains, you know, but not really that hard of a job. If it's something you're thinking about doing, I would definitely go ahead and try and tackle it. You know, it's pretty straightforward, to be honest. All right, got this header all hooked back up, dipstick hooked up. Basically everything is hooked up, pretty much ready to go. Really the only thing I'm missing now is some lines for the transmission cooler. I gotta mount the transmission cooler and then make sure the drive shaft fits, modify that cross member, hook up the exhaust, and then we can put some fluid in this thing and fire it up, and hopefully be good to go. Anyway guys, that's gonna be it for this portion of the video. We'll pick back up with the C4 in the next video. If you're new to the video, be sure to subscribe, check out the playlist for the build. It's been going on for a couple months now. If you like the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you don't follow me on Instagram, @RegularGuyGarage. As always, take care. I'll see you on the next one.